Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 8 of the Variety Gaming Podcast. Today's featured game is Wayfinder, a game that's truly near and dear to my heart. We're also going to be introducing another segment to the show. We call it the Early Bird Special. So, yes, we're going to be serving breakfast to you. Stay tuned to find out what we'll be serving this week. I'm joined always by my wonderful gaming co host, Atrax. Tell us about the game.
It is Wayfinder, developed and published by Airship Syndicate. Become a Wayfinder and unlock their powers as you choose your path and playstyle while pushing back a hostile force that has overtaken your world. A co-op ARPG where you directly shape and customize the endless adventures you go on with friends, because Wayfinders are stronger together. On PC currently, and available on PS5 and Xbox Series X and S later on in 2024. It released on June 11th, 2024 for PC, and not entirely sure, like I said, when PS5 and Xbox Series X and S will be released. But both Rayu and I got in when it was multiplayer. It was just Wayfinder. Now it is called Wayfinder Echoes. And Rayu, I know you are super excited and ready to tell us about this game. Let's hear about it.
Oh, yeah, dude. I had a blast and still do have a blast with this game. So, just to give you a little bit of my take on this, even though it says that it released June of 2024, that's the Echoes. This game actually came out, I want to say like September, October of last year, and it had a rocky launch. If you're not familiar with it, you can do some digging and research on there. There's a lot of information on the Wayfinder's webpage where they do talk about why it is they changed it from the multiplayer aspect that it was intended to be to this now co-op action RPG. Again, Atrax and I played it together when it was the multiplayer version of the game. It had a lot of, I want to say, quality of life and what's the word I'm looking for? Stability issues. When the game launched, there was a lot of rubber banding, a lot of issues, but they did the best with what they could. They made lemonade out of the wonderful lemons that they were handed by the folks over at Digital Extremes.
Those lemons were pretty sour.
Yeah.
And I mean, yeah, the meme was going around. It was called Wayfinder, but things are a lot better now, right? I mean, yeah. It's a single player RPG.
Yeah, they are a lot better now. Now they are. Airship has taken the reins of this game. As Atrax mentioned, they are the developers and publishers of this. They are a very small studio. They're not some big AAA or anything like that. So it is going to be a lot before new content is released and quality of life changes and all that. But the one thing that I will tip my hat to the folks over at Digital Extremes is that they are very open and they are very transparent with the process and what it is that they are going through. Like Atrax mentioned, the PS5 and the Xbox Series X and S releases are unknown. They just know they want to do it in 2024. They have posted an update to their official Discord server, letting us know as of August 22nd that they believe they're in the home stretch with Sony. They are going to update us when they are actually able to submit the build to them for it to go on PlayStation. And their plan is when they do get the approval from Sony to release this game on the PS5, that they are going to go ahead and do a Quality of Life 2 update to the game. So that way the PlayStation players and the current PC players are all going to be getting the latest and greatest version of the game as they have to currently offer it. So that's something that we don't get from a lot of larger developers these days. So it's nice to see that, especially given that this was a game that was substantially hyped up back in 2023 leading into 2024. I personally have sunk 188 hours into this game. I did purchase the Legendary or the Awakened Edition, the biggest package you could buy. I loved the game that much. I wanted to go all in on it. And that's always a chance you take with early access titles, so I regret nothing. I knew what I was getting into, and I still, to this day, will support this game. I did work on a fan-made wiki because there is a lot of information in the game. There's a lot of collectible parts. At the time, there was a lot of collectible things and a lot of different missions you needed to go on, and just a lot of stuff that if you're trying to really go in and collect everything in this game, it could be very complicated. It could be a little bit more of a mind strain to remember where certain parts were. So I kind of helped contribute to the fan-made wiki at the time. Unfortunately, again, with the changes, that's no longer up to date. But it just shows how much I actually really did enjoy this game. The fact that I was willing to devote that time to it. In addition, I did beat the story for what was released before we saw the Echoes change. So I did go through the full story. I did get to that endgame grind. So I know a little bit about the game. I know what it currently is, where it's currently going, and I like it. I really do like the fact that these guys were quick to pivot. They made something that I can play for whenever I feel like playing it. I don't have to really invest in the grind too heavily, but it's there if I want to. They are listening to the community. They know that we wanted a multiplayer aspect to this. We wanted to be able to play more than just like couch co-op. So currently on PC, whenever you sign into the game, there is an option under the menu that says find a party, and it tells you that it is a beta test for them to figure out how they can do the whole joining an instance and the progress that you make and the progress that carries over and all of that stuff. So, but they are actively working on giving the community the one thing that we're all asking for, and that's we want to be able to play this game with our friends in different areas, not just have couch co-op. I've tested couch co-op. It's not that bad. I'm not a fan of split screen games, so if that's what you want to do, that's your take, that's your preference. It works out, but again, they're working on it. They are listening to the feedback from the community, which is great to see. So I absolutely do like it. I haven't invested a whole lot of time. If you've been listening to us, you know that we do play a lot of different games. We're currently heavily invested in the First Descendant, and there are a lot of other games that we're bouncing around between, just so that way we can, not burn out on games as quickly as some folks do. So I do visit this game from time to time whenever I want to scratch that itch and get back into something a little bit different and not as heavily grindy as the First Descendant, and not as, I want to say, relaxing as Nova Drift, our most recent episode, which is ironic to say that a roguelike is relaxing, but that's been my experience with Wayfinder. And I really am looking forward to the updates, the quality of life changes, and things that these guys are bringing. I will continue to follow them, and this may come back around later on. And if there's any big changes to it, we'll more than likely cover them. But that's been my experience with it. Atrax, what about you?
So, back when you originally started playing a ton of it, I also bought into it. I'm pretty sure I got the middle one. There was was it $60, $80, and $100 edition or something like that? I think were the tiers.
Yeah, that was the tiers.
So I got the $80 one. I'm not super, super upset with my purchase. Some people are really, I spent $80 and this game completely changed from what it was to what it is now, and I just can't. And I guess if you really wanted it to be super online, where you see players running around in your instance and just randomly join world bosses, that's cool. I understand that. Me personally, as long as it has a co-op aspect, which, like we've already covered, Rayu said, it does have a co-op and they're working harder, I say give them some leeway, especially if it's going to be cross-platform with Xbox, PlayStation, and PC, because that's a lot harder to do than people think it is. It's not just oh, just connect to the server, have them all connect to the same server. Like, I'm not super into IT, but I already know that it doesn't exactly just work that way. It's not just automatic. You need certain types of servers that are special that cater to each individual console. And like, it's just, I know that it's a lot of effort or it costs a lot of money. And Airship Syndicate has been through a lot, especially losing their publisher and having to do it themselves. So I would say give them some leeway, especially when it comes to the cross platform co op stuff. Local or PC co op, it sounds like they already have local. I didn't know that actually. But especially PC online, where you can just invite people to your instance and they can level their character and then leave with that loot. That would be great. Although I can see ways where people would start duplicating stuff and, people always love cheating. So you always have to try and figure out some sort of anti cheater or just let them do it. I don't know. I guess it is just a co op PvE game, so they're only hurting themselves, really, if you think about it, kind of like Borderlands. You're really only hurting yourself if you cheat and duplicate stuff like that. But anyway, that's kind of a side tangent. I got the Awakened Edition. I've played 35 hours total in the game now. So you could argue it's about $2. Maybe it's more like $2.25 an hour to play. I always think of video games in that term and compare it to other entertainment when I think of how much value I get out of something. And I feel like I got my value out of it because I can still play it more and there's more releases. I was about to be upset when I started playing, this time with the Wayfinder Echoes edition, because I couldn't play the character that I wanted to play right off the start. When I was playing multiplayer, I had my favorite character, Venomous, unlocked and basically max level. And I open up the tutorial or like the create a game and I start playing and I can only pick between Wingrave, Silo, and Nis. And I was like, excuse me, where's my Venomous? Pick Nis. I enjoyed playing Nis for a while. The melee combat is fun. That's probably what's going to be playing on the YouTube version right now as I'm talking about it. So go check that out if you're interested in seeing what the gameplay is like. There's a parry system which isn't perfected. It's not like great, but it's functional. It works. I usually just dodge. Sometimes there's parry opportunities, but usually I just dodge out of the way. The melee combat is fun. I don't think it's too difficult. I don't think it's too easy. I've been playing the game on normal difficulty because I figure that's what most people play. So I wanted to get kind of the average experience, if you will. So I was playing this for a while. Finally, after about an hour and a half, I unlocked the ability to summon new Wayfinders. And I found out that I could get my Venomous, my favorite character, immediately switched. And hopefully, if I edit this right, immediately now, the video will just switch to my Venomous as I'm coloring her all green because it's, her color scheme, green and purple, all the toxins and stuff. And then I started playing Venomous. Then I was happy. Started playing the game and enjoying it again because I think it is. I like the art style. It's very easy on the eyes. It's pleasing to look at. And it's a chill game, like Ray, you already talked about. It hits a good medium of not being so chill, but not being so try hard either. There's a little bit of farming, there's a little bit of focus. I need to go get these quests, do this, do that. I am a little disappointed with the stuff I got when the game transferred over in terms of like the store. I got 3 tokens for the founder's store, which I believe there were five or six items. And you can argue, well, I didn't get everything, but it is what it is. I feel like I probably should have gotten everything in the quote unquote store. I think you should have just given all those items to the founders, especially because the game is $25 now. But that's just my opinion. It is what it is. I the stuff that I did get is cool. I think all the items in that Founders store are cool, but I'm a little sad that I only got 3 tokens. I really wish I got more. I'm very happy about the gameplay, though. This game, now that it is solo / local co-op, it plays a lot better without the server stutter. Like, that is one of the problems that I had. I was always like, man, what is wrong with my PC? Is it my frame stutter? Like, do I have shadows too high or something? Like, my PC should be able to run it fine. Now that it's on my local PC, I can run it on ultra graphics and get 120 frames. It looks great. So I'm very happy with now that it's on my PC. At least I think that's how it works. At the very least, it's only me connecting to the server. It plays a lot better. I think it's in a good place in terms of the game. $25 on Steam to get all of the, well, aside from the Founders stuff, you get all of the content in the game and the stuff that was previously in the microtransaction store. There are no more microtransactions. There's no more store. Now you just get it in like loot drops when you do dungeons and instances and things of that nature. So that's really cool too. I think that was a smart decision, and it's a good price. $25. I think they could probably make it 30 or 35 to be honest, but 25 is definitely reasonable. And like I said, it's in a good place. I will say the melee versus the ranged, Nis versus Venomous, both are good. I feel like both are balanced. Range might be slightly easier to play, but I don't think it is that much of a difference. I would argue it's more based on play style preference and what you're used to. Some people are used to just charging in there, and that's what they like to do. And having to dodge and stay back and kite enemies is not necessarily what they're good at. And so then ranged might be difficult for them. Other people like myself, I'm used to kind of playing the ranged, dodgy characters. So, and characters that like throw out pools of stuff and AoEs and things of that nature. So for me, maybe it's just playstyle preference. I definitely think both are balanced, at least in the 4 or 5 hours that I played. Nis, I enjoyed the combat, but I was so tunnel visioned on Venomous because that's just really what I wanted to play, and I was kind of upset I didn't have her unlocked right off the bat. Other than that, like it feels balanced. I didn't try the other characters. I did get Silo, Wingrave, and is it Kairos? Kyrios?
Yeah, Kairos.
Kairos. I did have those 3 unlocked as soon as I got the ability to unlock other Wayfinders. I immediately unlocked and switched to Venomous, but I did have the option. I unlocked Kairos, Silo, Wingrave. There are still, I think, 2 more Wayfinders that I need to unlock. So there is some progression and stuff that I can do there. Obviously, there's a ton of other things that I can do in the game, but currently I've just been tunnel visioned on Venomous, at least in the preparation for this episode. And yeah, I enjoy the game. I would say thumbs up on Steam, and it will be interesting to see where this goes, especially once they open up cross-platform play. And I believe their plan is when cross-platform launches, that will also be the official launch of the game. It will move out of early access into the official launch. When that comes around, especially, keep your eye on it, and we'll no doubt probably be covering it again, because I think then that will be some exciting content to see, and it will be cool to see where they decide to take this game going forward with the solo view.
Yeah, I'm excited for the changes and for what these guys are doing just to get it transitioned over for the different consoles to be able to play has been a really cool journey. One thing that I think is interesting, and I appreciated having this kind of reset, because when I started the game, after all the betas and things that I went into, I leaned more heavily towards the range characters, so I started off with Silo, and when I did get Venomous, I started playing her more heavily. I didn't really get into the melee characters all too much. This time I said, no, I want to try Nis. I remember hearing Sir Snarf on an interview talk about how that was his favorite character. So I said, let me give it a shot. And I like her. She's very different. She's very fast, much more like a poke and get out of there type of situation. Not as tanky. So playing the melee from ranged for so long gave me a different perspective of the game, and it really did change how I approach different things that I came across. So fighting the bosses, some of the harder minions, the exploding stuff, it really did cause me to think more. The other thing I also appreciate is that you can scale the difficulty a little bit earlier than you could before. And again, if I'm wrong, someone please correct me, but you could choose, was it normal, medium, or hard, or heroic right out the gate when you go into the character
Yep. When you
selection.
create the game, yeah.
Yeah. So I wanted to go to the hardest challenge because I really wanted to experience like what these guys were able to do. So that's something that I really did appreciate. Instead of having to go through and gradually power up and then it gets gradually harder and all that kind of stuff, I could just kind of jump right into the deep end of the pool. I do appreciate the drops that you mentioned, Atrax, how you get the gear sets and everything now instead of having to craft each individual piece and the weapons and all these different things. I do like that. It makes it to where I want to be more thorough in these dungeons because I'm like, oh, maybe there's a chest down this path or maybe there's a chest over here that I could be missing an item that I need for that particular set, or it could be that, oh, maybe this is where I get that Wayfinder, or whatever the case is. It's really, really cool with that. I think that if they continue to go on this path, this will be a big success for them. I wasn't too concerned about getting some sort of quote unquote compensation for the change from the multiplayer to the single player aspect of this. The founder items, yeah, they're cool, and you get the extra pets and all that kind of stuff, and I think that's more because I was so heavily invested in it and I knew what they wanted to do, like especially with the guild system and how they were going to change like player housing and all of these other things that they wanted to put in the game to make it that multiplayer aspect of it. And now again they're having to pivot and change everything. So that's why I was like, okay, I understand a little bit more than maybe your average consumer, but that's just me.
Speaking of average consumer, do you think that most people will pay attention to the story? Because I'll be honest, both times I did not pay attention to the story whatsoever. And I'll be honest, most games like WoW, TFD, this game, the game we'll be talking about later, like I genuinely don't pay attention to the story anymore. And that's not because I think every story is just bad writing and bland, but I think it's just because I'm more focused on playing the game than actually having like this story and this setup and why are we here in the world, unless I'm playing a game like The Witcher or Detroit or a single like really story focused game. Now we've switched from a multiplayer game over to a single player game. What do you think of the story? Because I'll be honest, I skipped it.
I like the story. I heavily paid attention to the story leading into the Echoes change. So I was really interested. And again, it's been a while since I've like heavily invested in the game. So following the story up to this point, I don't remember there being that much interaction with the first, who is actually the first boss that you can like, or the first hunt for you to be able to go do. I don't remember there being that much interaction between the first and Omen. So I don't know if they have made adjustments to the story to make it more of that single player co-op feel and or single player action RPG feel than they did the multiplayer experience. I want to, after recording this and playing it again, I do want to go back and try to progress to her fight, just so I can see if her fight is the same or if they changed it because of this. Because if they did change it, okay, I understand. But if they left it the same, then it's not too bad either. It's kind of a win-win for me.
Okay. What would you rate the story out of 10?
That's a tough question.
Got him on the spot. This wasn't in the notes.
It really
Boom.
wasn't. I would have to go with a solid 7 on the story.
Solid 7. Gut feeling is a solid 7. That's good. Honestly, I would agree. Even though you could say I didn't pay attention to it, like there was still explanations for things, and I could see where the pieces are there for those who love lore, which is important. I understand that there are people who in their video games want the lore, and you have to have it. I understand it's a necessary part. I'm saying me personally, and I feel like maybe a majority of people, at least people that I know, just skip that stuff and they just want to get right into the gameplay. I could be wrong though. I don't know. Let us know. What do you think? Are you a story gamer? Do you pay attention to the story in your video games?
No. And if you do, why? Or why not? Let us know. Well, I hear the rooster crowing, so I think it's time for the early bird special. So come one, come all. Get your food. It's piping hot.
Early bird special. Get your early bird special here.
Atrax is a pro at that. He does it every day.
Yeah. Oh man. You know it.
The early bird special. This is going to be our new segment that we're going to introduce. It is where we are going to talk about early access games. Now, this is strictly early access. It's not a beta. It's not an alpha test. These are games that are either free to play or buy in for some sort of currency. You know, it could be Canadian, American, whatever. You pay real money, you get to play the game a little bit earlier. May or may not be successful. Who knows? This is something that we wanted to talk about since both Atrax and I have done a lot of early access titles. Some have succeeded, some have failed. But this one that we're going to currently cover is Stormgate. We both have added this to our wish list. It did just recently go into early access, so you're able to play everything they release, help them build it, help them fine-tune details by providing the feedback on your experiences, and that's what we like to do. So, Atrax, in your experience with Stormgate, for the time to play and prepare for this episode, what did you think?
So to set this up, Stormgate is a real-time strategy game. You can think of Command and Conquer, StarCraft, Warcraft 3, Star Wars Galactic Battlegrounds Saga. If you're an OG, that's one of the classic RTS games. But yeah, so it's an RTS, and I'm not great at them. I understand them, but I don't have the APM. I don't click around. I can't manage that many troops. My mind doesn't go that big. I am a first/third person one character gamer. But that being said, I still enjoy playing them from time to time, especially when the graphics are good or it's interesting. So for example, back in 2005, StarCraft, my friends loved StarCraft and they were playing it on N64. Now granted, there were a lot of generations of consoles more than the N64 in the early 2000s, but still, playing StarCraft on the N64, super fun with my friends. Now, StarCraft 2, I have played that with some of my friends as well. Here, Stormgate, I threw it on my wish list because it looks like an upgraded version of those games, and the graphics look just upgraded and better. It looks really good, and so I was like, ooh, threw it on my wish list. like Ray, you said, now it has come out. Played through it. The free missions, pretty decent. I played on normal. Again, didn't pay attention to the story. I just commanded my troops around, and it was fun. Kind of interesting, their pay setup, but I think Ray wants to get into that more a little bit later. I'll mention some of it too, but basically, the game is kind of pay to win. Units and abilities are locked behind character purchases. I did my calculations. It's $70 to get the ultimate pack plus the extra character in order to get everything. Not terrible. You're technically buying the game, but especially if they release more that you then have to pay for, still technically pay to win. So I do want to have that caveat. That being said, what I did play of the free version was a lot of fun. There's free missions that are available. Played through them. The first one is more of just about commanding your troops around. The second one is really building your base and sending troops out to destroy the enemy base. The third one builds even more on that. So honestly, for me, the second mission was my favorite just because it's so simple. You're just building troops and sending them out to go clear out areas. I did play a game of co-op versus or solo versus AI. It was a good time. It reminds me of all the times I was trying to play StarCraft in practice to get better than my friends because they were way, way better than me, and I literally stood no chance every single time. And so I would play countless games of co-op versus AI, especially in the Star Wars Galactic Battleground Saga era, because that was not online and I didn't have anybody to play with because it was on PC. So that was just constant solo versus AI. Here I am again, solo versus AI in Stormgate, and it's fun. I think this is a great start to an RTS that could take the space of some of the player base, especially with StarCraft 2 kind of not really doing a whole lot, at least from what I could see. They had the StarCraft 1 cartoon version and some of the other stuff, but for the most part, StarCraft not really doing a whole lot to my knowledge. Stormgate here could really carve out a good chunk of the player base if they don't make it pay to win with units and abilities being locked behind a lot of character purchases, because I could see that really, really killing the game. But I mean, Ray, what do you think? What was your experience so far?
I enjoyed it. Honestly, it felt similar to, like you were saying, an updated version of the RTSs that I've played before. My experience with RTSs is going to be like Age of Empires and a little bit of StarCraft 2. I think I stopped playing at the end of Wings of Liberty when that was out, and I stopped playing there. StarCraft 2 was more of a just time killer for me. I didn't really want to get heavily invested into it, so I didn't really play online or anything, just played with friends, and it was just something to have. But it felt nice. I don't recall the story missions of any RTS I've ever played having you control one character or one hero. In fact, I don't even think there were heroes in any of the older RTSs. I could be wrong. Again, my experience is Age of Empires and StarCraft 2. So, that being said, it was different for me playing through the story and like, oh, you're going to take this one unit and move this one unit around. And I don't think it was till like the end of mission 3, maybe mission 4, that you actually got a base and they were like, oh, now we're going to show you how to build. Like, here's your barracks. Here's how you mine. Here's how you do this stuff. And really getting into that feel of the RTS. So that was a little different. Drew me off a little bit, not gonna lie. And I didn't like the fact that after chapter 4, now we had to start purchasing campaigns. I get it, it's early access, but the thing is it's marketed as an early access game for us to then get in and essentially beta the game. Like, we got the first 4 chapters, and then you have to buy the rest of them. And then if you wanted to play any of the other heroes, like you mentioned, Atrax, we had to pay for the heroes. So
Well, no, you don't have to pay for the heroes. You can play with them, but you can only unlock the stuff after level 5. And after level 5, there's abilities and units that you can unlock. So it's kind of like you're being held back by not buying the character because you're not unlocking their quote-unquote full potential with all their units and abilities.
all right, even though we have to do that, I'm still going to say you have to purchase the hero, because if you got to level 5, but you're not really getting to play with that character. So even still, having a requirement to purchase a hero, especially in an RTS, I feel like you said is very pay to win.
Especially when the only online versus is ranked.
That's really bad. I didn't even pay attention to
there
that.
is online co-op, but the online versus, at least from how I understand it, it's co-op versus AI. I could be wrong. It could be co-op like PvP, but when you click the versus tab, it's all ranked.
Yeah, I don't like that. Where, again, it's marketed as early access, as a quote-unquote free-to-play, and everything is just purchase locked. So I get it. Companies need to make money, all that jazz, but it's marketed as free-to-play, and you are physically preventing me from playing the game by making it to where I do have to spend more money on a game.
I would honestly pay $50 for the game.
Like, I would as well. Like, if you're giving me, like, again, they chose to make this an early access. Make it a beta series. Let people try it out. When the game is fully released and you like it in its current state, $50. Or better yet, just like the game we covered today with Wayfinder, make the game purchasable as an early access title, give everyone access to everything, and then take that feedback, and just like Wayfinder announced on their, I don't know if it was their press release or in the Discord, Atrax, keep me honest with this, they announced that the price may increase in the future once the game is fully released.
Yes, that was on their official news page. They said that currently, let me see really quick. Where is it? Oh man, I'm on the right page. Oh, here it is. Priced at $25. It will this one-time purchase includes all present and future early access content, with the price set to increase after the game leaves early access. So that's Wayfinder. Which, it's funny that we've got the early bird special because both of our games here are early access. But they have specifically stated on their press release that the price will increase when the game comes out of early access.
So yeah. So again, they could do it that way and make it as an early access with a pay increase in the future once it leaves it. I feel like there was just a lot of better opportunities for them to handle this. Throwing us a bunch of microtransactions out the gate, locking the story behind a paywall, all of that stuff, it has kind of turned me off of the game. Not gonna lie.
Yeah.
Because, like, I was looking forward to doing, like, oh, this would be cool. It's a RTS. We can get, Atrax, myself, a couple of our other friends at a Discord call, have some fun. But now it's like, no. Just no.
I think we still could. I would give the game a 6.5 out of 10. And the only reason I dock those 3.5 points is because of the pay, the monetization, strategy. The monetization strategy, I think, is very poor. But that being said, the gameplay, you have to agree, the gameplay and the way the game looks is good. Like, the game is fun.
Oh yeah, no, the game is fun.
But the monetization strategy sucks. I will also say, I have to throw this out there, some constructive criticism. Make better tutorials for the official page Stormgate. The current ones, Rayu and I watched some of them together, and we could not stop laughing because of just we're all content creators. I guess it happens. It is what it is, but this was just it was really funny to us, and we thought it was a little bit humorous, and maybe that's what they were going for. I don't know, but the tutorials are a little whack. They could be a little bit clearer, and especially focused towards new players and people who haven't played RTS games, because there's a lot of those out there, and I think this game would appeal to new players too.
Yeah, so again, I completely agree with what Atrax is saying. Constructive criticism. Understand, we all try to do the best we can with content creation, and there's no docking people who want to try it and do the best that they can at this. And the gentleman who made the tutorial video, he's knowledgeable. I will give that. He's very knowledgeable of the game. I like the little self-promo. I'm not going to lie. That was funny. The self-promo, I think, was like 20 seconds into the video. Good on you, man. You saw a shot and you took it, and it's still there. Please, if you do decide to go into this game, please just click the Learn How to Play button and appreciate the content for what it is. The guy has a lot of information. I promise you get a good laugh out of it. I know I did for at least a good couple hours.
You will learn something. I guess that's true, because I really did. It imprinted enough on me that I did learn a couple of things, and I did remember, like, oh, Q is the build button. But it is
See, he can't even finish
funny.
telling you.
It's just funny. It's just funny. That's all. And I guess that is memorable. And it's not bad. Like, it's not bad. It's just not what I expected from a tutorial. And I personally would update them. But that being said, they get the job done. I did learn something. They're not like useless tutorials. They're just funny. I didn't expect like the main tutorial to be what it is.
Yeah, I did not. But that oh man. That video, I can't. The game plays well. The game plays really well. It's fun. The audio is great to it. The graphics look good.
The animations are cool.
The animations are cool, and I want to say that there's unique traits to each character. I don't know, because
there are.
Yeah.
They're like your commander on the field.
Gotcha. See,
yeah.
I'm used to like the commander just being like Sid Meier's Civilization 5. That's or any Civilization game. You have your general, Khan, and Genghis Khan, and you're playing as his troops, but you don't get to be Genghis Khan on the battlefield. You just get the voice lines and all that kind of jazz. That's different,
true.
and it's different.
And in StarCraft, there is no hero, as opposed to in this game. You just have your main command center, and as soon as all the command centers are destroyed, then you lose. But in this game, you have your hero and a command center. And I believe it's when your hero dies that you officially lose. But it's just or maybe it's the command center. I can't remember which one you goon first. I know in the first mission, your goal is the second mission, your goal is to destroy the enemy commander. I can't remember what the co-op versus AI one was. Dang it. I'm going to get dinged points for that. It's been a long week.
It has.
Either way, whatever the objective is, it's different than in other RTS games. And I don't know if I talked enough about the animations. I feel like I've said this multiple times about, oh yeah, the visuals, it looks great and this and that. But if you remember the StarCraft, like the Terran, when one of the Terran would die and they would just like explode, like, it's the very similar take in this game. but the animation is smooth and the art style is very pleasing to the eyes. At least for me, it's very soft. I like that kind of softer art style. Wayfinder has a similar art style as well, the kind of cartoony, soft art style. And the destruction of buildings and units and stuff like that is cool. Each one has their own little animation. It's well done. But looping back and becoming a broken record here on this show, I mean, the monetization makes me so disinclined to continue playing past leveling up all of the different heroes because I'm already at the missions and I've already finished the missions. And I don't know if I mean, I guess there's co-op. I just need to find some people. I don't know a whole lot of people that play RTS games. That being said, I wish I did, or I wish some of my friends would. Hey, if you're listening to this and you're one of my homies, I know there's a lot of you out there that listen to this show regularly. I appreciate you. If you're interested in an RTS game, yo, hit me up because I haven't played a whole lot of them and I think they're cool and I think this one would be good for a solid like 10 hours. But as soon as you hit all the free to play regular or walls, then I'm not like, and I'm not inclined to play versus whatsoever. No PvP. It's going to be solely co-op versus AI for me. I don't know about you, Ray.
No, I'm right there with you on that. I won't be touching PvP with a 10-foot pole. Not as long as the current monetization method is in there. That's just whack. I can't get behind that system. I will gladly jump in to an RTS us versus AI situation. I think StarCraft 2 had something similar to that, which made it interesting. I'm not going to lie. You got to experience, the different unique units of StarCraft as you're playing in that AI mode, which made it which made it more interesting because you could ramp the difficulty up if you got really good at your particular one. I was a fan of the Zergs and just doing a Zergling rush and letting them
Zerg Rush. Kiki 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 kiki. Anyone remember the song?
I was just a fan of it. I loved being able just to run in and it just looked like a swarm. It looked like something out of a horror movie, watching all of them run at you. So, but that was cool. So if that is something that's in the co-op where we can each pick either a unique race or a unique hero and we can experience a little bit more to it, then maybe that's all it would be good for me. But I'd still go with I'm going to drop it to a 5. Just because, again, it's a good
5.
quality game. It plays good, but I can't get past the monetization system. It's just so bad. But that has been our early bird special for this week. We certainly do appreciate you guys taking the time to listen to us. Please let us know what you think of the show. You can find us on Spotify, YouTube, and Apple. Rate the show or tweet at us on X at Variety Games Pod. Let us know what you think of Wayfinder. If you guys do play your games for the stories, if you're going to be taking a stab at the Stormgate RTS game in early access. And tell us in the YouTube comments what you guys think about the show. We'll see you next week.